It all started quiet-like, the kind of quiet that makes you listen to the silence.
My daughter-in-law called at 4 in the morning. Her voice was calm, almost efficient. "Your son is dead. I already had him cremated. He left everything to me. You get nothing." I didn't say a word. Not because I was in shock, but because something inside me went cold. My son hated fire. He'd said it 100 times over the years. Ever since his mother died, he was very clear. If anything ever happened to him, he wanted to be buried next to her. Under the oak tree at Evergreen Cemetery. Never cremated, never burned. It mattered to him deeply. So I didn't book a flight to Hawaii for a funeral. I booked a flight to find the truth. Because whatever Lydia thought she had wrapped up so neatly, whatever plan she thought was finished, it wasn't. Not yet. Not with me still breathing. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. Before I continue, I'm curious. Where are you listening from right now? Leave a comment with your city or country. It helps me understand who these stories are reaching. And one more thing. Some details in this story have been adjusted slightly for privacy and clarity. But the heart of it, the lesson about family, instincts, and trusting that quiet voice inside you, that part is absolutely real. The call came at 4:32 a.m. Pacific Time. I remember the exact minute because I looked at the clock afterward and burned it into my mind. I knew before I even answered that my life was about to split cleanly into a before and an after. I'd been a cop in Seattle for 35 years. You don't do that job without learning patterns. Middle-of-the-night phone calls don't bring good news. I fumbled for my reading glasses on the nightstand and squinted at the glowing screen. Lydia, calling from Hawaii. My heart already knew the name that was coming next. "Curtis," she said, her voice trembling just enough to sound real. "I have terrible news. It's Brandon. He drowned yesterday during our sunset cruise in Maui." The words hit me like a physical blow. My son, my only child, gone, just like that. I asked what happened, though part of me was already bracing for the details. "We were on a boat," she said. "He was taking pictures near the rail and he slipped. The current was so strong. The Coast Guard searched." She paused at exactly the right moment. "I'm so sorry." Then she added, "The funeral is already arranged. Cremation, just like he always wanted." That was when the first alarm bell went off. Brandon never wanted to be cremated. We'd talked about it more than once, especially after his mother passed. He was clear. He wanted to rest beside her someday. Lydia knew that, or she should have. I started to speak, to correct her, to say something didn't add up. "Lydia, I don't think—" "Oh, and Curtis," she cut in, her tone shifting. The grief drained out of her voice, and something sharper took its place. "About Brandon's estate and the life insurance policy, it all comes to me. $3 million, plus the house, everything. The lawyers were very clear. You get nothing. I thought you should know that before you fly out." Then she hung up. I sat there in the dark, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to nothing. The clock on my dresser glowed 4:34 a.m. 2 minutes. That's all it took to shatter my world. Or at least, that's what she thought. Something was very, very wrong. Brandon had been a championship swimmer in high school. He made state finals his junior year. Even at 40, he swam laps 3 times a week. He was strong, confident in the water. The idea of him drowning during a tourist sunset cruise bordered on ridiculous. And that comment about the money. Who leads with that when calling a grieving father? Not, "I'm sorry for your loss," not, "He didn't suffer," but, "You get nothing." It felt less like information and more like a warning. I opened my messages. There it was. Brandon's last text, sent at 4:17 p.m. the day before. I hadn't seen it because I'd been at a friend's retirement dinner, phone on silent. "Dad, I need to talk. It's about Lydia. Something's not right. Can we meet this weekend?" My hands started shaking. 3 years earlier, Brandon had brought Lydia to Sunday brunch. She was beautiful, polished, charming. She laughed at the right moments and said all the right things. But something about her made my instincts hum. Maybe it was the way her smile never quite reached her eyes, or how she kept steering the conversation back to Brandon's job, his salary, his future at Microsoft. My wife Louise would have caught it instantly. She had a gift for reading people, but Louise had been gone 10 years by then, and I'd learned to let Brandon live his own life. Even when that life included marrying a woman who made my cop instincts itch, I stayed quiet. I told myself I was being overprotective. Now my son was supposedly dead, and his wife's first concern was making sure I understood I wasn't getting a penny. I stood at the bedroom window and looked out over Queen Anne. The city was still dark and silent. Somewhere out there, the truth was waiting. I didn't book a flight to Hawaii, not yet. Instead, I did what I'd done for 3.5 decades. I started asking questions. The first question was simple. If Brandon drowned the evening before, why was Lydia more focused on money than on how he died? Why rush cremation? Why cut me off so quickly? My instincts were screaming. That wasn't grief in her voice, it was performance, and I intended to see through it. Sleep was impossible. I sat at my kitchen table with black coffee as the sky slowly lightened. At exactly 6 o'clock, I picked up the phone and called Roland Hughes. Roland and I went back 20 years on the Seattle force. We'd made detective the same year. "Curtis," he grumbled, "it's 6 in the morning. You'd better be calling because you won the lottery." "I need a favor," I said. "A big one." His tone changed instantly. "What's wrong?" I told him everything. The call, the cremation, the money, the text message I'd missed. "Read that text again," he said. I did. There was a pause. "You're thinking what I'm thinking, aren't you?" "Yeah." "I need you to run her," I said. Everything. Full name, Lydia Taylor, maiden name Lawson. "I'll call you back," he said. "Give me an hour." It took 45 minutes. "Curtis," Roland said when he called back, "sit down, if you're not already." My stomach tightened. "What did you find?" "Your daughter-in-law has been busy. 6 months ago, she took out a $3 million life insurance policy on Brandon. Guess who the beneficiary is?" My throat went dry. That's a massive policy for a healthy 40-year-old. "There's more," he said. "Lydia was married before. Michael Bradford. He died 2 years ago." The room tilted. "How?" "Drowning accident. Bahamas vacation. Snorkeling. Body never recovered. Ruled accidental. Insurance payout was $1.5 million. I sat down hard. "2 husbands," Roland said quietly. "2 drownings, 2 payouts. That's not coincidence." "She killed them," I said. "We don't know that yet," he replied. "But if your son is dead, this goes to the authorities. If he's not, we need to find him fast." "I need everything," I said. "Bradford's full case file. Everything on Lydia. Work, money, travel, associates." "I'll have it by noon," Roland said. "And Curtis, be careful. If she did this before, she thinks she's untouchable." After we hung up, I stared at Brandon's text again. It's about Lydia. Something's not right. He'd known. He'd sensed it. And I hadn't listened. Guilt settled in my chest like a weight. Roland called again just before noon. "There's more. Lydia's been making regular trips to Maui for 6 months, always alone." "Planning," I said. "That's how it looks. I'm sending everything now. But Curtis, you really should involve the authorities." "I will," I said, "after I know what happened to my son." By noon, I was on a plane to Maui. The 5-hour flight gave me time to think, and the more I thought, the more convinced I became that Brandon was still alive. The pattern was too clean. 2 drownings, 2 vacations, 2 missing bodies. Lydia had walked away clean once. This time, she underestimated one thing: me. I landed just after 7 in the evening. Maui was buzzing with tourists, laughter, bright shirts, camera flashes. Paradise. I rented a car and drove straight to the resort where Brandon and Lydia had stayed. The Ocean Breeze Resort looked like something out of a brochure. Palm trees, infinity pool, endless ocean, a perfect place for a tragedy to disappear. I found the manager, Clayton Hart, according to his name tag. "I'm Curtis Lawson," I said, "Brandon Lawson's father." His face slid into professional sympathy. "I'm so sorry for your loss, sir. Your daughter-in-law has been absolutely devastated. I want to see her. She's in room 412. I can call up." "Don't," I said. "I'll surprise her." Something flickered in his eyes, but he nodded. In the elevator, my heart hammered. I hadn't seen Lydia since the wedding. That day, she'd worn white and smiled like an angel. Now I knew better. I knocked. She opened the door, wearing black yoga pants and a tank top. Mascara smudged beneath her eyes. "Curtis," she said, startled, "I didn't expect you so soon. The cremation is already done." "I want to know what happened," I said. "Everything." She stepped aside. The room was chaotic, suitcases open, clothes everywhere. She was packing. "It was the sunset cruise," she said softly. Brandon was taking pictures near the rail. A wave hit the boat. He went overboard. She gestured toward the ocean. The current was strong. I watched her hands tremble, the tears well. It was convincing, too convincing. "Where's his body?" I asked. "The Coast Guard searched for 2 days. With these currents—" She shook her head. "So there's no body," I said. "No death certificate?" Something flashed in her eyes. "Not yet, but they said one can be issued later." It was a lie, and she knew it. "I'm going to the police," I said. "They already know everything," she replied quickly. I left. At the Maui Police Department, I was directed to Officer Timothy Holland, the Coast Guard liaison. He shook my hand. "I'm sorry about your son," he said. "I was on the search." "Is there a death certificate?" I asked. And that's when the story really began. "No, sir," the officer said calmly. "Without remains, he's classified as a missing person. Under Hawaii law, it takes 7 years to legally declare someone dead." 7 years? That meant Lydia couldn't touch the insurance. Not legally. Not unless she produced a body. I stepped outside the station, the warm air hitting my face, my mind racing. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. No caller ID. Just a message. "Stop looking. He's gone. Be a friend." My blood ran cold. Someone was watching me. Someone knew where I was. And more importantly, someone knew where Brandon was. I looked up at the dark Hawaiian sky, stars scattered like indifferent witnesses. Brandon was out there somewhere, and whoever sent that message knew exactly how close I was getting. I wasn't stopping. I was just getting started. Every instinct I'd developed over 35 years told me this wasn't over. Too many lies, too many rehearsed answers, too much fear behind Lydia's eyes. Whatever she'd planned depended on silence, distance, and time. I was about to take all 3 away from her. By morning, after the threat, I knew I couldn't do this alone. I'd been threatened before. It came with the job. But threatening me over my son was a different kind of mistake. I needed someone local, someone who knew Maui, the water, the people, the shortcuts, someone who could dig where I couldn't. That's how I found Everett Shaw. His office sat above a surf shop on Front Street in Lahaina. The sign on the door read, Shaw Investigations, Discreet, Professional Results. Everett looked exactly like you'd expect a former federal agent turned private investigator to look. Mid-40s, sharp eyes, still posture. He sized me up the second I walked in. Curtis Lawson, he said, retired Seattle PD. My son, I said. His wife says he drowned. I believe she's lying. I told him everything. The call, the cremation lie, Brandon's warning text, Lydia's first husband, the Bahamas drowning, the insurance policies, the threat sent to my phone. Everett leaned back slowly, fingers steepled. That's a clean pattern, he said. Cold, organized. What do you want from me? Everything, I said. Her associates, her money, her movements. And if my son's alive, I need to find him before she finishes what she started. Give me 24 hours, he said. I don't have... You do, he interrupted calmly. If we rush, we miss things. You know that. He called the next morning. Come now. I was there in 15 minutes. His laptop was already open, screens filled with maps, photos, timelines. Lydia's been involved with a man named Gavin Mercer, Everett said, water sports instructor at the resort. A photo popped up, late 30s, fit, sun-darkened skin, the kind of man tourists trusted without question. They've been discreet, Everett continued, but not careful enough. He pulled up security footage from the resort parking lot. Lydia and Gavin stood beside a white pickup, kissing, intimate, comfortable. The timestamp was 2 days before Brandon supposedly drowned. There's more, Everett said. Gavin owns a boat, runs snorkeling and fishing charters, but he also makes private trips. He brought up booking records. On Sunday, the day Brandon vanished, Gavin canceled all bookings, claimed he was sick, but his boat left harbor at 6 a.m. and returned after dark. My pulse spiked. Where did he go? Everett zoomed in on a satellite map. 6 months ago, his travel pattern changed. He started coming here. A private island appeared on the screen, 15 miles offshore. Owned by a shell company, another image loaded, a boat docked at a small pier. Same make, same model. This image is from yesterday morning, Everett said. That boat's been there 4 days. My chest tightened. He's there. I believe so, Everett said. But we can't rush this. If they see us coming, they'll kill him. Then we don't rush, I said. We watch. Exactly, Everett replied. Recon only. Tonight, my boat. After midnight. By dawn, we'll know. I stared at the island on the screen. Somewhere on that speck of land, my son was alive. Tonight, I said. Everett nodded. Curtis, I think your son is still alive. For the first time since the call, I let myself believe it. That night, just before midnight, Everett and I stood on a dock in Lahaina, staring at the dark water. At 70 years old, I thought my days of stakeouts and dangerous operations were behind me. I was wrong. We loaded the boat with binoculars, a camera with a long lens, flashlights we hoped not to use. 15 miles east, Everett said quietly. 45 minutes if we keep the engine low. Once we're close, we cut power and paddle. You've done this before, I said. More times than I'd like, he replied. You ready? I pictured Brandon alone, tied up, waiting. Let's go. The ocean was calm under a quarter moon, just enough light to see without being seen. The shoreline faded behind us. I checked my watch over and over, 12:15, 12:30, 12:45. At 12:50, Everett cut the engine. "There," he whispered. A dark shape rose from the water, a small dock, a single wooden cabin set back from the shore. One window glowed. We paddled the last 100 yards in silence. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure it would give us away. We tied off at the far end of the dock, away from Gavin's boat. Everett scanned the cabin through binoculars. "No visible cameras. Move slow." We crossed the rocky beach, staying low. Voices drifted out. A man on the phone. Everett motioned toward the window. I raised myself just enough to see inside. Brandon lay on a narrow bed, thin, pale, unshaven. His hands were tied to the frame with rope. His chest rose and fell. Alive! My eyes burned. I forced myself not to move. Gavin paced near the door, phone pressed to his ear. "Another week," he said. "That's enough time. Keep him sedated. When it's done, we make it look like he drowned trying to escape. Dump him offshore. Let the current do the rest. Same story as before." My fists clenched. I wanted to burst through the door. Everett's hand crushed my shoulder. "Wait!" The call ended. The door opened. Lydia stepped outside. She wore jeans and a dark sweater, relaxed, smiling, nothing like a grieving widow. She kissed Gavin. "One more week," she said, "then we're free. 3 million free." "You sure the old man bought it?" Gavin asked. "He bought it," she laughed. "He's probably back in Seattle by now. There's nothing he can do." For a second, her eyes swept toward the water. I froze. "Did you hear something?" she asked. "Just waves," Gavin said. They went back inside. Everett pulled me away. We retreated, untied the boat, and didn't start the engine until the island disappeared behind us. "I saw him," I whispered. "He's alive." "Yes," Everett said, "but if we rush this, they'll kill him." "So what do we do?" "We bring everyone," he said. "Police, Coast Guard. We do it clean." By morning, we walked into the Maui Police Department. I'd spent my life working cases. Now I was asking others to save my son. Captain Ernest Boyd listened without interruption. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady. "This is substantial," he said. "We move, and we move by the book." "How long?" I asked. Boyd met my eyes. "As fast as it takes to bring your son home alive." I asked how long it would take. Boyd didn't hesitate. 2 hours. Briefings, coordination, water approach, hostage rescue planning. Every word felt like a weight pressing on my chest. 2 hours sounded reasonable to a commander. To a father, it felt impossible. Every minute meant another minute my son was tied up, drugged, waiting for people who planned to kill him. I told Boyd I wanted to be there when they moved. He looked at me for a long second, then shook his head. "You're a civilian now, Curtis. Command boat only. No exceptions." I hated hearing it, but I understood. Emotions get people killed. I'd said those same words to families 100 times in my career. Now, I was the family. At 10:45, we boarded 3 vessels at the harbor. 2 Maui PD water police boats and 1 Coast Guard cutter. 12 officers total, plus Everett and me. The officers moved with calm precision, loading tactical gear, checking weapons, radios clipped tight. Boyd gathered everyone for the final briefing. His voice was steady, controlled. Hostage situation on a private island. 2 suspects, armed and dangerous. 1 hostage, condition unknown. Primary objective is hostage safety. Suspects secondary. No hero moves. We do this clean. We do this together. Every officer answered in unison, "Yes, sir." Engines roared to life. The boats pulled away from the dock, slicing through the water. I stood on the deck of the command boat, gripping the rail as Maui slowly shrank behind us. The coastline blurred into green and blue. Somewhere ahead, beyond the horizon, my son was waiting. Whether he knew it or not, we were coming. The crossing took about 30 minutes. I barely felt the wind or the spray. I scanned the horizon constantly with binoculars, my eyes burning. Then I saw it. A dark column rising into the sky, thick and unmistakable. Smoke, black smoke, climbing fast against the bright blue morning. "Captain!" I shouted. Boyd spun toward me, followed my gaze, and immediately grabbed his radio. "All units, we have heavy smoke at target location. Possible structure fire. This is now an active rescue operation, full speed." The engines surged. The boats leapt forward, cutting through the waves. My heart slammed against my ribs. The cabin, the one cabin on that island. Brandon was inside. We were out of time. As we closed the distance, flames became visible, bursting through the roof of the cabin. Fire licked upward, hungry and fast. Thick smoke rolled into the sky. Officers shouted commands over the engines. I couldn't hear them clearly. All I could think was that my son was trapped in that burning box. The boats hit the shore hard. Officers jumped out, weapons raised, voices sharp and commanding. "Maui police! Hands up! Don't move!" Lydia and Gavin were already running toward the dock, toward Gavin's boat. They stopped dead when they saw the armed officers, the Coast Guard cutter blocking the water, nowhere left to run. They froze, hands slowly rising. I didn't wait. Every instinct drilled into me over 35 years of law enforcement screamed to stop, to hold position, to let the team clear the scene. I ignored every one of them. I ran straight toward the burning cabin. "Curtis, no!" Everett shouted behind me, but I didn't slow down. The heat hit me before I reached the door. A wall of scorching air that burned my face and eyes. Smoke poured out, thick and choking. I pulled my shirt over my mouth and nose and lunged inside. It was hell. I couldn't see more than a foot in front of me. The smoke clawed at my lungs, every breath a fight. Fire crackled along the walls, devouring the old wood. The ceiling groaned, popping and snapping, ready to give way. "Brandon!" I shouted, but my voice disappeared into the roar of the flames. I dropped low, crawling along the floor where the air was barely breathable. My hands hit the bed frame, then rope, then skin. Brandon. He lay on the narrow bed, unconscious, tied at the wrists and ankles. His face was pale in the flickering firelight, lips cracked, chest barely moving. Panic surged through me. My hands shook as I clawed at the ropes. They wouldn't budge. Sweat, smoke, fear made my fingers useless. Then a shape appeared through the haze. Everett. His knife flashed in the firelight. 3 quick cuts, and the ropes fell away. "Go!" he yelled. "I've got his legs." I grabbed Brandon under the arms. He was limp, heavier than I expected, dead weight dragging me down. Together, we stumbled toward where I thought the door was. Smoke was so thick I couldn't tell which way was out. Then suddenly, fresh air hit my face like a punch. We burst out of the cabin and collapsed onto the sand. I rolled away as paramedics rushed in. Someone checked Brandon's pulse. Nothing. "No, no, no," someone shouted. They started CPR immediately. Compressions, breaths, again and again. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. We had been seconds away from losing him. Then Brandon coughed. A deep, violent cough tore out of his chest. His body jerked. His eyes flew open, wide with terror. He sucked in air like he'd been underwater for hours. "Dad," he whispered. I was beside him instantly, dropping to my knees. "I'm here. You're safe. I've got you." His hand found mine, weak but real, and squeezed. I broke. 35 years of holding it together collapsed in that moment. Behind us, Lydia screamed. Officers dragged her toward a boat, cuffs snapping around her wrists. She fought, yelling nonsense, eyes wild. Gavin tried to run again, diving into the water. The Coast Guard intercepted him within seconds, hauling him out like a fish in a net. Both of them were finished. Paramedics loaded Brandon onto a stretcher. Smoke inhalation, possible internal injuries, one said. We're calling a helicopter. I'm going with him, I said. No one argued. While we waited, I walked over to where Lydia sat guarded on the sand. She saw me and exploded again. He wanted this, she screamed. He wanted to disappear. I stopped in front of her. Captain Boyd stood nearby. I looked at the woman who had married my son, betrayed him, tied him up, and left him to burn. My son is alive, I said quietly, and you're finished. Her face drained of color. For the first time, she had nothing to say. The helicopter arrived moments later, rotors chopping the air, blowing smoke into wild spirals. They loaded Brandon in. I climbed in beside him, never letting go of his hand. As we lifted off, I looked down at the island. The cabin collapsed inward, flames dying, smoke drifting into a perfect blue sky. Officers surrounded Lydia and Gavin on the beach. It was over. Brandon squeezed my hand again. "Dad," he whispered, "you found me." "Always," I said. "I'll always find you." 3 days later, on a quiet Sunday morning, Brandon was strong enough to talk. I sat beside his hospital bed at Maui Memorial, holding his hand. He'd lost 15 pounds in 7 days. His cheekbones were sharp, his skin pale against the white sheets, but his eyes were clear and steady. Captain Boyd pulled up a chair and set his recorder down. "Brandon, in your own words, please tell us what happened." Brandon swallowed, his voice hoarse but controlled. 2 months ago, I found messages on Lydia's phone. She was having an affair with Gavin Mercer, the water sports instructor at the resort. When I confronted her, she denied everything, told me I was paranoid. He paused, breathing carefully. I was going to file for divorce. I'd already contacted a lawyer back in Seattle. "And the life insurance policy?" Boyd asked. "That was her idea," Brandon said. 6 months ago. $3 million. She insisted I name her as the sole beneficiary. Said it was for our future, for security. My chest tightened as I listened. "Walk me through last Sunday," Boyd said gently. Brandon closed his eyes. "Gavin invited me fishing, said we should bond man to man. Lydia encouraged it. She even packed lunch. On the boat, Gavin handed me a beer. It tasted wrong, bitter. Then everything went black. You were drugged, Boyd said. Yeah. When I woke up, I was on that island, tied to the bed. They were both there. They weren't hiding anymore. His hands trembled slightly. Lydia looked at me like I was already dead. She said they'd been planning it for months. They were going to keep me sedated, then stage my drowning, make it look like an accident. He opened his eyes and looked at me. I thought I was never going to see you again. I squeezed his hand harder. You're here now, and I wasn't going anywhere. What happened during that week was slow torture. Not the kind you see in movies, loud and violent, but quiet, calculated, meant to break me without leaving marks. They kept me sedated, Brandon said, twice a day, enough to keep me weak, confused, unable to fight back. I'd wake up groggy, barely able to lift my arms, and Lydia would be there. She didn't act scared. She didn't act guilty. She talked to me like I was already gone. She told me how much money she was going to get, how she and Gavin were going to disappear to Costa Rica once it was over. She said the ocean was perfect for this kind of thing. No witnesses, no evidence, just another tragic accident people would forget about. Brandon's voice tightened. She said no one would ever find me, that the ocean would take care of everything. I felt my hands curl into fists as he spoke. And the morning you came, he continued, I heard helicopters, Sirens in the distance. Gavin panicked. He started yelling that they had to get rid of me right then, that there wasn't time anymore. Brandon looked straight at me. That's when he set the fire. He was going to let me burn. The room was silent after that. Captain Boyd wrote something down slowly, then looked up. Mr. Lawson, based on your testimony and the evidence collected, Lydia Lawson has been charged with first-degree kidnapping, attempted murder, conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, and first-degree arson. Gavin Mercer faces identical charges, along with aggravated assault for administering sedatives without consent. Brandon let out a breath he'd been holding for weeks. Then he turned to me. "You saved my life, Dad." I squeezed his hand. "You warned me about Lydia. I knew something wasn't right. I trusted my gut." "You always told me to do that," he said quietly. "Trust your instincts." Boyd stood and switched off the recorder. "We'll need you back in Seattle for the trial, but for now, rest. You've both been through hell." After he left, Brandon stared out the hospital window at the Maui coastline. The same blue water that had nearly killed him. "I want to go home, Dad. Back to Seattle. I need to start over. I need family." My throat tightened. "Then, let's go home." 3 months later, on a warm June evening, Brandon and I sat on the back porch of my house in Queen Anne, watching the sun sink into Puget Sound. The water glowed orange and pink, calm and steady. Brandon had moved into my guest room after Maui. It was supposed to be temporary, but neither of us was in a hurry to change it. The truth was simple. We both needed the quiet, the routine, each other. We settled into an easy rhythm. Most nights, we cooked dinner together. Nothing fancy. Grilled salmon, vegetables, rice. The kind of simple meals Louise used to make when life felt normal. On Saturdays, we walked to Pike Place Market, bought fresh coffee, watched the fishmongers toss salmon through the air like nothing bad had ever existed. Seattle felt like home again. Brandon started therapy twice a week. He called it working through the island. He didn't talk much about it, and I didn't push. But I saw the changes. His hand stopped shaking when he held a cup. His smiles came easier. He slept through the night without waking up soaked in sweat. He found a new job, too. Software engineering for a Portland company, fully remote. He worked from my kitchen table or the porch, laptop open, the sound stretching out in front of him. He was rebuilding, slowly but honestly. Late at night, when the house was quiet, I thought about Louise. 10 years gone, but never far. I remembered the hospital room, the soft beeping machines, her hand warm in mine. She'd looked at me and said, "Curtis, promise me something. Take care of our son no matter what, even when he thinks he doesn't need you." "Always," I'd said, "I promise." "And trust your instincts," she whispered. "You always know what's right." I kept that promise, even when it felt reckless. Flying to Maui on a hunch, hiring a private investigator, pushing police to raid a private island based on nothing but a father's certainty. I trusted my instincts, and I brought my son home alive. The trial lasted 2 months, Brandon testified, reliving everything in front of strangers, but the evidence was overwhelming. Recordings, photos, insurance documents, the file on Michael Bradford. Lydia's plan laid out piece by piece in brutal clarity. She was sentenced to 25 years for attempted murder, kidnapping, conspiracy, and arson. The judge called her a danger to society and denied parole. Gavin received 15 years. He cooperated, testified against her, and was labeled a follower. But he had helped drug my son, imprison him, and try to burn him alive. 15 years felt merciful. They were sent to federal prison. I didn't think about them after that. They weren't worth the space. Instead, Brandon and I started something new, the Louise Lawson Fund. Using part of my pension, we helped victims of financial exploitation and domestic abuse. People betrayed by those they trusted. It gave us purpose. It gave Louise's name a future. One evening, Brandon set his beer down and watched the water turn gold. "I used to think family was paperwork and vows," he said. "Lydia taught me what it isn't." "So what is it?" I asked. He smiled softly. "It's showing up, not giving up, trusting your gut even when it sounds crazy." He looked at me. "You're what family means." My throat tightened. "Your mom would be proud." "I know," he said. "She's watching." We sat in silence as the skyline glowed. For the first time in years, I felt peace. Looking back now, I realize God puts certain instincts in our hearts for a reason. When that phone call came early in the morning, something inside me whispered, "This isn't right." I could have ignored it. I could have accepted the story. I could have gone home. But God gave me 35 years as a detective, not just to solve crimes, but to recognize evil when it hides behind grief and smiles. So here's what I learned. Don't ignore that voice in your gut when someone you love is in danger. Don't let doubt or politeness silence your instincts. Those warnings aren't accidents. Sometimes God speaks through that uneasy feeling you can't explain. Family isn't about blood or certificates. It's about who shows up when it matters. Brandon is alive because I listened, because I trusted God, because a father's heart refused to believe his son was gone. If this story moved you, leave a comment and share your thoughts. Share it with someone who might need to hear it. These stories exist to pass down wisdom that can save a life. Thank you for staying with me until the end. God bless you all.